So again, we talk about range sites as an expression of what's the forage producing capacity of that range site. So this range site we're standing on right now would be a bottomland range site with deep soil. You could go down to the NRCS office and get a map of this pasture, and it would have the different soil types mapped on it. And you could look up the acreage on this range site, and we'll know in a minute what the total forage production is here. Right here in this very same pasture though, we have a completely different range site, not a quarter mile over there. And it is, as you can see, an abrupt contrast. Most of the time it's not this abrupt, but we go from flat, totally usable acreage by cattle to steep rocks, probably 15 to 20% slope covered with rock. Even if that were flat, if it had that much rock on it, cattle would not go there unless they were really, really, really hungry. And so that would be another thing. If you see cattle up on a mountain like that, even if it's early in the morning, they don't really want to be there. So those are the two extremes. So if we were figuring total amount of forage in this pasture, we would need to get us a map and figure out how much of the pasture looked like that and take it out of our equation, because it's not usable by cattle. The same thing could be if that was a smooth mountain just covered with brush. They wouldn't go up there voluntarily. They might go up there to hide from you or something. But you can see by whatever forces of geology made that mountain, probably 2/3 of it are covered with rock. This other side, believe me, has rock on it, but not near as much. But just for the purposes of talking, it's all really the same to a cow. It's just too much slope, whether or not there's rock there or not. Cattle just don't like to walk on rocks. So, you know, they might go up this right-hand side, maybe, you know, 10–20% of the way up there. If I saw them down kind of at the lower base, I wouldn't worry too much, especially if it was maybe wintertime and the species of grass we have down here might not be as nutritious as what we have up there on the slopes. In the winter, that slope grass tends to be a little more nutritious than what we have in the bottoms. But just things to study in the pasture. So we've talked about how much forage we have. We've talked about range site and grazable acreage as affected by how much forage we're capable of producing in those various range sites. And so we know that cattle are going to eat about 2.5% of their body weight a day, and we can make some calculations, or estimates would be a better way of doing that. So we've talked about clipping forage and weighing it to train our eye. We've talked about throwing a frame down on the ground and just estimating what's in there.